My last video, I was working with this plant. It's an Alocasia California. And the tiny leaves that you see down below are just splitting off the three mother plants, which are the larger stalks that are coming out of the 6-gallon container that I have these in. The substrate that I'm using is a combination of Coco-Coir and chunky number 3 perlite. And I was able to dig away at the base of the smaller plants and separate it out. And it did have roots on the bottom of it. Now I transferred that over to pure hydroponics. And in spite of initially seeing very nice results, what I found out was that the wet conditions was tending to rot the roots, and that has had a negative impact on the plant that I pulled off. There was a little bit of browning as well as softening of the main stem coming up. The primary leaf that was on the young plant, it was starting to show signs of being overly watered, overly wet, and the general health of the plant has been, of course, a little pathetic. And so this is part 2 of my experiment, and I'll probably end this experiment at this point, and I'm not going to give up on hydroponics, but what I'll probably end up doing is switching over to a setup that gives me a little bit drier root structure and less water. Even though the system that I was using was gentle and set up for young plants like this, it had a circulating pump that was aerating the water, so it wasn't stagnant water. And the LED grow light above, being only 10 watts, was not harsh on the plant at all. So not all plants do well in all hydroponic systems, and some do not do well in hydroponics at all. The setup that is working for the mother plants right now is actually a form of hydroponics, and it's based off of supplying nutrients through water. There's a little bit more substrate, so that's why it's a hybrid system. That pot sits in this tray, and that valve continues to supply the nutrient water. It will flood up a little bit and then recede down as the plant uses it. And so it's a demand system that is based off of the needs of the plant, and that plant will signal that valve when it needs more water. It's fed through the tubing that you see there from an elevated 12-gallon reservoir, and I have the ability to feed the plants using a hydroponic nutrient that is soaked up into the base of those pots. So somewhere in between the use of the larger system that I just showed you and the smaller system that did not produce as well, there's probably an answer that will be ideal for the alocasia plants that I'm growing, and it will be a matter of experimenting and trying to determine which system works best. Of course, providing that information to everybody who's checking out my channel. I'll label this as part 2, and we'll just call it the end for right now until I could find out which system would be best for the future of my attempts to grow this plant hydroponically.